More talk about anxiety and worry. I will talk about sadness for one of the previous episodes, and sadness they very similar to today's topic because all three of them they the same emotional spectrum, right? They did the heavy side of the emotional spectrum. So things like joy and happiness, they the light side of the spectrum, and then things like sadness, anxiety, worry the heavy side of the spectrum. So a lot of the ideas from that episode feel they applicable for this episode, so if they useful. But the difference between that one and this one, the anxiety and worry, the way it's different from sadness. Now, say when we dey experience anxiety and worry, usually now during times when we dey try to control outcomes, when we dey try to control the future. Now then we say they experience anxiety. Now then we say they experience worry. We maybe you just dey go through life or you dey manage a certain scenario where you dey experience, where you dey go through, and you dey look out for a certain outcome. You want things to turn out a particular way, and that's fine. But in that desire, you want something to pan out a certain way. In that, you never really learn how to balance how to be open to whatever happens at the end of the day. So you want this to be the outcome of that event. You are very, very attached to that thing where you want. You're not willing to accept that life will do what it is going to do. Life will do what it wants to do at the end of the day. And whatever life does, so one, you're not willing to accept that life will do what it's going to do. Two, you're not willing to accept that whatever life does, whether it's favorable in the moment or not, it is ultimately for your good. It is ultimately for your benefit. So these are the two things you're not willing to accept in those moments. And now where the anxiety they come from, now where the worry they come from. Now in those times, when we dey struggle to accept, when we never remind ourselves, say, Alpha, stop to the worry. This thing, this thing could go happen the way you want it happen. Wait, you want play for this matter, and I go play. And whatever happens, it's ultimately for my benefit because whether it's favorable in the moment or not, I know how to respond to that. If it's favorable, I thank God, I celebrate, and I proceed as planned. If it is not favorable, I'm grateful for the outcome regardless, and I adjust accordingly. So you never accept, say, you know, these are the cards, and I get the anxiety they come from in those times. One easy thing when I dey do to help me get through times like that, now to tell myself, say, this whole event they already play finish. So I'm waiting for something to happen. I go tell myself, say, this thing don already happened. Like, how the toxic time now construct, say everything where won't happen or where they happen inside this same moment that is now. That the now is multiplied into different nows. That next 5 minutes is also now, and next 10 minutes is also now. How we say that. That is one of the things that I tell myself in times like that. That the event has already happened. The outcome I'm waiting for has already happened, and it cannot be changed. Not just for me to continue to dey live life till I reach that time in the future when the outcome won't say happen, and the results will be shown to me. But in the moment, as long as I have controlled the aspects to it that I can control, then there is nothing left for me to do than to just wait, fingers crossed, and just wait for whatever the outcome is. That's not one of the things when I dey do to help myself in those times. E get one man where a parable don't impact my life a lot. Uh, he dey talk that year say Life be like the relationship between breeze, that is the wind, and dry leaf. He say nobody know where the wind they carry the dry leaf they go, you know. And bruh, with my experience of life so far, I really believe in us. So life really take day, you know. So control it if you control, you know. We're humans at the end of the day. We try to be as connected to our higher self that is able to do things that our physical self is unable to do. But at the end of the day, we are humans and we have limitations. So understand your limitations, operate and max out. Do what you can in every scenario to the best of your ability, and know when to let things go and allow life to do the rest. This now the psychological aspect of the work where you need to do in those times to relax yourself. But other things they too where you feel do to help yourself in those times. Other physical, they are called more physical things because they are like actions and activities that you could do, you know, actions you could take to help you be more relaxed, to help your body be more relaxed, even help your mind to be more relaxed. You know, you could sleep, you know, that a big one for me, especially in times when I dey feel extremely overwhelming emotions. Sleep is a perfect reset, you know. So you could sleep, you could meditate, you could take slow walks, you know, the longer the better. Just not break your legs. You could sit down somewhere quiet, you could listen to relaxing music, you can sit in nature if you can, if it's accessible to you, you know, within reach. I say we dey stay for city now, and sometimes where you go see vegetation or see something like that, you go need to walk far. But if it's accessible, you could do that too. Emotional regulation is a very crucial part of our well-being, and the better we get at self-regulation, that is regulating our emotions ourselves, you know, having tools for ourselves, like tools that you don't really need another person, you know, tools for regulating yourself that you don't need another person to implement. So the regulation is done by you. When you're out of balance emotionally, the means through which you regulate yourself is done by you. You know, the better you get at doing that, at, you know, regulating yourself by yourself, the better your relationships will be, the better your life will be. So try to do things where go keep you aligned with yourself, so that at the end of the day we can have a fuller, much more fulfilling experience of life. My name now Sas, and I will see you for the next video.